welcome to my channel. This is a channel on YouTube that I have for cross stitch. I call it floss tube, and it's been a while since I've done a video. Life's been busy, and you know, nice weather, get out there, do stuff, especially if it's home improvements and you have the opportunity to get it done, then gotta take it. So that's what I've been up to. Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I did a video, so I'm gonna show you, I'm just gonna do a WIP parade. I like to call the one in the middle of the year the WIP Party, you know, celebration, halfway mark. So it's a little later than I thought that I would be doing this, but so be it. It is Wednesday, July 23rd. I think it's 23rd. Yeah, and yeah. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to show you all of my finishes and new starts, and some of them are starts and finishes since my last video. Yeah, that's crazy that those are the only things that I started this year, and I finished them between the time I've filmed last time, because it's been a while. So so first thing is I'm going to go through the finishes. I have them all stacked up on the back of my chair here, ready to be hung up there when I'm done talking about them. So maybe I'll stand up. That might be easier. Okay, be right back. Okay, so standing up is not going to be an option. But yeah, so here is my stack of finishes for the beginning of 2025. And so I will show you in the order that they are finished. I actually made a list. I'm a little bit organized, not tremendously organized, because yeah, finding time to do this has been a little bit of a struggle, but you know, we can get through this and get this done. So these are my finishes. If I have time for when I'm editing, I will add details like the start date if I can remember. I believe this was a birthday start in 2021. I'm just guessing though. But this is Queen of Hearts by Owl Forest Embroidery. Started in July of 2022 or 23, I'm not sure. I started this with Sarah from Our Stitching Kingdom. I have the kit, no, I have the Owl Forest threads, but I used my own fabric, and I can't remember what it is right now. But there's the finish. Finish number 1. That was finished on January 20th. I wonder. My Lowry stand is going to become a project holder for now. Okay. This is Blitzen from Nora Corbett, Christmas Eve Couriers. I started these quite a long time ago. I had started them all at the same time on 32 count Nocturne Belfast linen by Picture This Plus, and I had burnt out on them, but I persevered and I plowed through, and that one is finished. That one is Blitzen. And this one is Dasher. And they were finished one day apart, January 31st and February 1st. And that is the last of the reindeer that I had to do. Yeah, they're all finished. They are a little difficult to come by, simply because not the patterns. The Magnifica beads are discontinued, so if you get these patterns now, you will have to substitute quite a few of them. This is Dressmaker's Daughter, also finished this year, February 4th. And that's because of all of the beading, which there is a tremendous amount. And yeah, the only regret that I have is if I had thought of this sooner, but I was living in a different house, I wouldn't have done this all in one piece of fabric, is all I was going to say. I would do them as individual stand-ups, or, you know, framed pieces or whatever, to be changed out with the season. But that's okay. I will cope. I will live with it the way it is. Okay, and then, of course, to finish off the Christmas Eve couriers, we needed to have the sleigh finished. And this was finished on February 16th. Lots of beads. One of the things that I did change is that the rope here was called for just a regular bead, and I didn't care for that look, so I changed it out to bugle beads by other Japan beads. Yeah. So that finishes off that entire series. I know there is a Santa that could be paired with it, but I think it's fine just as it is. And then I decided to do, I think I already had this started. I'm going to check, because this might be another one that was a start and a finish the same year. No, I had, oh wait. Yeah, this was already started. I'm not sure when, but in 2024 I started the Shamrock Sampler by Sweetheart Tree. I was probably just feeling like a finish, or feeling like a start. So I started it, and I finished it March 17th? March 15th. So just in time for St. Patrick's Day, but not enough time to, you know, properly frame it, to display it. But yep, all the specialty stitches, beads, charm, two more, actually, one more from 2024 starts. This is Halloween Tiny Town, and it is now finished. So I do have to fully finish it. I'm pretty sure this was started or finished this year. I just didn't note it. when I was going through my records. And now we're getting into the starts and finishes. So, let me pause the video because I have to go get another one of them and show you both of them. Okay, so back in April, late April, early May, my husband and I were doing a renovation project because, you know, that's the story of our lives. And I have had this pattern for a very long time. Like my kids were little, I thought about doing this for them. But they're not children anymore, they wouldn't appreciate this. But my husband did, especially after working with me for 2 weeks on a home improvement. This is "The beatings will continue until morale improves." This is a Sue Hillis design, and she had quite a few of these pirate designs out there. But when I went to look for it again, this one's not available. My copy's already spoken for. So yeah, I stitched this in secret on my lunch breaks, etc. until it was finished, and it fit nicely in a 5 by 8 frame. So that hangs in the bedroom, and this is something that I had bought on Stash Unload, and I got the fabric, the thread, everything. I'm trying to think, did I get the thread? But I'm sure. No. She offered the thread. I said I don't need the thread. But anyways, this is Just Nan's beautiful butterfly. It's a butterfly by Just Nan. I can't remember the exact name of it. And I had this frame already, so it was just super easy to finish it up properly. And I might do some more of these if I can find more, just to swap it out, change it up. So this one was started May 8th and finished on the 15th. Quick stitch. Then I started another, that was 3 starts in April and May, and they were also finishes. This is the Elegant Pumpkin by Mill Hill. I had this piece of, it's actually still attached. It's a remnant piece that I got from Rolanda in a grab bag, and it was the perfect size, perfect color for Elegant Pumpkin by Mill Hill. And I used everything from the kit, well, except for the fabric, but I used all the beads and the black thread. That shows it really good. But I did not use the orange thread. It called for the background to be stitched, but on this fabric that was not necessary, so I saved myself a ton of stitches by doing it on a modeled fabric. I've also seen where Tanya, I think, I can't remember her channel name. If I think of it, I'll put it here. She hasn't done a video for a long time. But she took markers and just watercolored the Mill Hill perforated paper to be the color that she wanted, and I know, I'm thinking Gail from Gail's Golden Needle had also done that. Using marker to color in the background for a perforated paper. I could be wrong. It could be lots of people could be doing it. I'm just naming 2 people that I've seen do it. So that is all of my finishes and my start and finishes, and I'm going to pause, and I'm going to bring out my new starts, of which there are 2, and the rest of my WIPs. And this is where the chaos is going to start, just so you know. Yeah, so let me swap over to that segment. Be right back. Okay, so those are all the finishes that I had in 2025. So that's not too bad. I would love to get some of my older projects finished, but some of them are nowhere near being finished. And so that's pretty much why that there was a halt on my finishes, but an increase on my start and finish, because yeah, I needed to have that, what is the word I'm looking for finishing things. I had an appetite for it. So I started some small things so that I could finish them. And yeah, so quenched that hunger, I guess you could say. I don't know where my other start is. It's in one of these bags up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through what I've recently worked on. Some things are still on Q-snaps. I may take them off, and some things, well, some things are on scroll frames that just can't be undone. So yeah, let's just get some of these oldest ones out of the way, because I know those are the ones I'm going to be bugged about the most, and they are the ones on the scroll frames. They're like permanent fixtures in my house. Well, this one's not a scroll frame, it's a Q-snap. This is my oldest project. I don't expect to have it finished anytime soon. I'm not making any goals or plans or promises to have this finished, and I should at least undo the grime guard so that you can see all of this, because it is beautiful and I do have a lot done. I don't have enough. I mean, enough is finished, right? This is going to be one big project when it comes to beading it, because it's huge and it's a Chatelaine. And this is stitched on 32 count white Opalescent by Zweigart. Definitely not Belfast. Definitely Opalescent. But anyways, this is Royal Tudor Mandala. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see all of everything. So I'm just going to put it in front of the camera. I can't tell what you're looking at. But yeah. And yes, I put the Q-snap over the specialty stitches. It's my project, my rules. These are silks, and I don't intend to ever wash this, but it is gorgeous. I mean, I have almost 3/4 of it done, because this crown here is the third, and then it's just one more quadrant, this corner here, to finish, and then it would be done. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to say that about all of these projects. Won't take much if I just focus on them. And that's the theme. Gotta focus on them. And I don't know if I have ADHD or AD, whatever. But yeah. So I'm going to tuck this back in its home without the ground guard on it for now, because otherwise this is going to take forever. Okay. My next project, I should open up my tablet here so I can show you what it will look like. I do have a paper copy of it, but this might be easier. This is Hatter by Omri Crush, and I should be putting in, actually I should be putting in the before pictures, but anyways, Royal Tudor Mandala did not have a lot of work on it, so I'm not going to show a before. We'll just start now. So this is Hatter by Omri Crush, charted by Gecko Rouge. I got the kit. I started this in January of 2019, and here's where it was at the last WIP parade, beginning of January, and I have 3 full coverage big projects that I work on, and strictly in the mornings, to be honest. The 30 minutes to an hour I get before I go to work are spent stitching on my 3 full coverage pieces that are, you know, this size or bigger. So this is where we are now. And you know what? We can probably get the whole picture of every, let's see. I really need to get one of those tools for butterfly clips. Okay. So there is the full picture. It is gorgeous. Just gorgeous. 25 count. 2 over 1/2 cross. And I believe this one is, well, I know this one is about 50%, because right around here I took out the little bit of floss that was in there to show me where the center was for when I was counting to start, because I left it in there. It's something I like to do. Now I'm just gonna re-tighten this somewhat, because I have to put the batting back in. I do add the batting to the rolled up part, to the stitched part, so that it just adds cushion really to the sides here to even out the tension. So we'll just leave that alone for now. And Beautitudes is my next oldest it just happens to be that, yeah, these are the biggest projects slash the oldest projects because they're big projects, and so that's why they take so long. And I did kind of hope to have this one done by now. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Just had a little coffee break with my husband, so I had to wait for the sunglasses to clear up because we were outside. And it turns out to be a nicer day than anticipated, so we're thinking once we get this done and what he's doing done, we'll just take a little break and go out on the recreational vehicle for a little while. Anyways, this is Beautitudes by My Big Toe. I started this in 2020. I believe I started it in May. Yeah. I'm stitching this on 22 count Hardanger fabric, just white, with Threadworks and Gentle Arts cranberry, but the cranberry that I can get now no longer matches the cranberry I had when I started, which I thought I had enough, but lo and behold, I did not. And here's where it was on my last WIP parade. And here's where it's at now. And it is still on the scroll frame, so it's going to be hard to really see the full thing, but I will just keep rolling it. And that's where we're at. So this is the very bottom line. Kingdom of Heaven. And then there's a motif here and a mirroring motif here, and then the border comes across. And then it'll be finished. And I think what I'm going to have to do is make this my Sunday stitch again, because that's when I was really getting a lot of work done on it. Because it's 22 count, it's easy to see without using magnification. Yeah, so I think that's what's going to be the plan for that one. Sunday stitch, I think we'll get it done relatively quickly. That's the only project that I have left from 2020. You know what? There is not going to be any order to the rest of these. I'm just going to pick them up, see if I can name the year I started them for, you know, for your information. But yeah, there's just so much. I'm working through just a pile at a time. So this is, it escapes me, and I just finished Inner Depths. Inner Depths by Chris Ortega. Here's what it will look like when it's finished, and where it was last time. And I'm going to do a split screen like this. So on top is going to be the last WIP parade, and on the bottom is what it looks like now. And as you can see, oops, we are starting to see her goggles here, and there's a bit of her face done and some of her hair done. Yeah. And I just finished working on this again for its rotation, and since I'm on vacation, I have more than just a half hour to an hour in the morning. I stitch until my husband wakes up, and this morning that was like 3 or 4 hours worth, and I got 600 plus stitches in. So, and I rotate between this one, hatter, and a stitching shelf, which you will see later. But yeah, that's where that one's at. No, just no, is it this? I am not disillusioned about when that will be finished. That's what I'm trying to say. And it'll be done when it gets done. Try not to start another project that big until I have a project that big finished. Because right now I have 3 of them that big. Well, hatter is about half the size technically. And when you see them side by side, it is actually quite astounding how big of a difference they are. Yeah, so a stitching shelf is my next project that I'm going to share. And this is artwork by Amy Stewart. And I started this in 2022. Inner Depths was also started in 2022. Not too far apart, actually, these 2 projects. This one I am doing as part of a stitch along, but the original 3 members of the stitch along that started it, I think I'm the only one that's still working on this, but a lot of other people have joined in, and there is a Facebook group, and that'll be in the description below. But this is where I'm at. I have been stitching on this as the seasons change. I will change which row I'm working on. So I worked on fall in the spring, and I'm working on winter in the summer. It's just a thing that I do because I'm me. I stitch in the opposite season. It started when the Mirabilia groups were doing Queens of the Season. I'll show a before, and I'm actually going to show a picture of the most recent update that I put in for that Facebook group, because it's actually opened up and shows the whole thing, which obviously in January when I did my WIP parade I would have been working on summer. So anyways, I'll try to do a side-by-side of the full thing here. Okay, so now this is something that I really do want to have this done this year. So I really do need to get my button gear, because I'm getting close, and when I look at it, it's like you are really close. But this is the sled stocking by Dimensions. Pretty sure it's still available, and I am stitching this entirely with the kit. Sometimes I will switch out the kit fabric because I have a nicer fabric in my stash, but the stockings, I've been actually using the kit fabric. I have about, I've lost count after like 32 stockings, but it's somewhere up there. And that's fully assembled and everything. So if you want to see all my stockings, there is a video from a few years ago that actually has, I think, all the stockings that I've done ever, if I had a picture. So, but this is for Sarah, and this is where it was when you last saw, well, when my last WIP parade. And here's where it's at now. And this is the start of the cardinal right here. And so it's from this point on, it's just the toe that's left. It's the chapel, some snow, and some birds. And then this is finished. And this is a really easy, not really easy, it's a dimensions, so there are some nuances, but I really enjoy the nuances, to be honest. I did not enjoy stitching on this when I started it. It was very stiff fabric. I like to stitch in a Q-snap, even though, and because it was so stiff, it was shredding the thread quite quickly, and it was not enjoyable to work with. The needle didn't want to come through quite as easily as it would with softer fabric. And so when after I was frustrated with working on it, I washed it. I washed this fabric with just warm water and dish soap, and then rinsed it really good, even though I started stitching on it, and it softened up, and it's very soft now and wonderful to work with. So this is Sarah's stocking. And that one is going back downstairs because it lives by my chair until it's finished. Okay. This is, boy, these are the ones that I've worked on most recently because I have the charts on here. Yeah, showing, yeah, where I was working on. There isn't much beyond this, so this is giving me a rough time trying to loosen it. But this is Queen Mariposa by Mirabilia. I started this in 2021 in May, part of Mirabilia May or something. It was probably Mania. And I did a Mirabilia themed Mania that year, and yeah, so this was one of the patterns that I started, and here's where it was when we did the last WIP parade. And here's where it's at now. And I should move that needle minder because it was distracting. It was actually on here covering up the stitching, but this is where it's at. This is stitched on 32 count. I have it here. Zephyr. I picture this plus. Belfast linen. Almost, I want to say that I almost exclusively use Belfast linen, but that's not true. I do have a large collection of Belfast linen. I was in a Fabric of the Month club, and I like it, and so that's what I went with. And anyways, here's where I'm at now. I really haven't worked on this too much recently, for no real reason. I was going to try to focus on it in May, but that didn't happen, and so it didn't get as much as I thought it would. So that one's done. I'm trying to find a place for everything, but okay, so I have a couple more projects that I've worked on recently, and then this basket is done, and we will find another basket. We'll dump all the stuff off of that shelf and work through the project bags. So this is my Les Belles Lettres de GiGi, a letter T. And here's what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. Can you see it? Can you see it? So I did not know what this looked like when I bought it, but I knew that it was going to be gorgeous because I saw all the other Les Belles Lettres patterns available. They were gorgeous. As you have seen, I generally don't stitch, sorry for the noise, samplers, but there are exceptions. So I'm just going to move my pattern because I wouldn't want you to see that. And here's where it was when you last saw it. And I have to come back for this one. Here's where it's at. I don't know if you can see the whole thing there. That's all the way to the bottom. And so it's 3/4 done. And this is stitched with anchor. This is 35 count Edinburg Linen, or 36. Started off white. I used some Rit dye and I dyed it this very sexy pink, and it blows out the color so much on the video. Let's see if we can get to a truer color here. But it's just gorgeous. Look at that. Yeah. This is like a French sampler to me. Well, I mean, it is a French sampler, I guess, right? And I think it's sexy. So that is that one. And I know you can hear the banging. I'm sorry. We'll try to work through it. But we both want to get our chore done today, so he is working on the exterior siding. My magnet came apart for this one, and I'm trying. I've had these Pacos for a while, and I realized when I was working on this project, which is Camberley Sampler by Rosewood Manor. I started this in 2023 with Carolyn Zook and Robin from Bird's Eye Stitching, and they were the ones that I saw they had purchased this, and I really wanted to start it, so we started it together. I am honestly not aware how far they are because I'm horribly behind on all the floss tube. So here's where mine was the last time, well, WIP Parade, and it's in the Q-snap because I have been working on it recently. Yeah, and actually, I wonder if I should do that. I'm gonna take off the one side because I worked on this edge here, and so that, yeah, you can't really see it, can you? That motif is done with the orange and red butterfly in there. And yeah, Buddy's behind the Q-snap now. But recently I put in this, and yeah, this is my Monopoly stitch for this week because I landed on a railroad, and railroads are cells because it makes sense to me. So that is Kimberly Sampler. I have no plans to have this finished anytime soon, but what I did notice, because I'm stitching this 1/1, not 1/1, oh god, 1/2 full cross on 35 count Edinburg Linen. I had a really big piece, and with one strand it's beautiful, gets the coverage I like, and because it's so much jumping around, I would always have I found myself with a needle threaded for quite a long time until I got to the next instance where that color happens. So I thought I would pull out my Paco and give it a shot. So yeah, I just put a couple lengths of each color because I'm doing it with one strand. I shouldn't need that much. And so, yeah. It might be a little too cumbersome for this project. I might get a smaller Paco for this because it really doesn't use a lot of colors. And my next project that I'm going to show you, I might be switching over to the Paco, and one Paco is not enough. So yeah, no intentions to finish this anytime soon. If I have a better picture, I might have taken a picture of this before it was in the Q-snap. I'll put that here. I'll do a side-by-side if possible for you to see where it was versus where it is. Okay, and then this next one is a new start. This is my most recent new start because I wanted to start something new. And this is a bag made by Natasha at Bridges Get Stitches. And inside this is my Luca S kit, Fantastico. Flamingo Fantastico, who will forever now be known as Frankie. So this is Frankie. So whenever I'm referring to Frankie, it's a Luca S kit named Flamingo Fantastico. So when I was working on this, it comes with these cards of the floss required, which is great. They're labeled, they're numbered. Well, I numbered them. Why did I number them? Oh, that's the color number. Yeah. It was just in my head. I had to number it. So I numbered it with pencil. But anyways, I was finding I had difficulty using these big bobbins the way they are. And so I pulled out my other Paco, and I took the threads that I had put like this on this bobbin, and I put them on here. Now, I do have to draw the symbols on, so that is most of the symbols drawn on by hand. I'm sure there's another way to do it. I don't intend to put loaded needles on this. I usually only use one needle at a time when working on my bigger projects. Almost all my projects are just one needle at a time. But that Rosewood Manor one, yeah, because all the colors are so far apart, it's like, do I end the thread? Keep the needle threaded? Because... Anyways, this was a new start, and I am using the kit fabric, and this is, yeah, some random thread there. Here's where we are, and let me put this behind it, if that helps. But yeah, that is the bottom. So I centered it, and then I used a white thread to mark my center, and then I counted down from the center to the bottom, and I'm starting at the bottom center and moving my way up, just like I did with Hatter. I think I like the rhythm of that because I'm working my way into the exciting part, getting the, you know, somewhat boring part done, because usually the more exciting part is in the top third. I mean, it depends on the pictures, but anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna try going to the Paco. I noticed with this pattern that the higher the number really just meant how many stitches is the higher number. That doesn't make any sense. So for instance, thread color 51 uses 837 stitches, whereas color number 1 is 29. So really I should have started with the bottom portion, because the top, you know, 15, you know, however many, I think it's like 15 that I need to put onto another Paco, it's like, those are the 15 that are going to be more used than the 15 from the front of the line, right? Not so smart there. So whatever, I have another Paco. I'm just like the other Paco with the other one may get reassigned. But this was fun to work on, and I don't want to take them off the Q-snap. These are the ones that have been my, you know, focus for the last 2 months, and I loved working on them. So I'm going to put these ones to the side, and we're going to pull out that shelf, we'll bring it down here, and then that shelf, if there are any other WIPs up there, we'll find them and bring them down. So, small break. Okay, so I emptied that shelf, and I was going to go through and show you all these projects, just opening up the bag and show you what's inside. And the first bag I opened is missing the project. So I will just put this one to the side, and when I come across the project, which it's very odd that it's not on a frame out here. Maybe there's one more frame downstairs. We'll see. If I don't find it in one of these bags. Yeah, I just emptied one shelf. I have 3 shelves, but they're mostly kitted up but not started. I'm going to try to only show you the ones that I've started, but opening these bags, I'm going to find things that I might want to start. So I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. There will be zippers opening. That's the way it is. This is the one I started last November. This is my memory project. This is Menagerie by the Drawn Thread. It is charted for silks, and I am doing it with the call for DMC because that's a pretty hefty price tag for a sampler that honestly I don't think it really would take that much of the thread. I'm stitching it with one strand on 36 count. Something. What did I? Ah, there it is. This is 36 count River Willow by Lakeside Linens. Here's where it was in the last WIP parade, which probably was not very far. And trying to get the bar off. And yeah, this is one of those ones that I keep on the Q-snap so that I can pick it up and work on whenever. I started this the day that we lost Khaleesi. And yeah, but it is turning out beautiful. It is very, very enjoyable to work on, except for, you know, the memory. But yeah, so that's where that one's at. And sorry, I just wanted to show you my needle minder. But of course, so yeah, that is Drawn Thread. Beautiful pattern. Again, you know, want to work on it. Okay, oh, this one. Oh, this one is, beautiful. I love this pattern. Poppy Girl. Girl in a Poppy Field by Verbico. Yeah. Here's where it was on the last WIP parade. And I can't remember if this is going to be any farther along or not. Yeah, I look at it now and I think I could cope with it now, but I made a mistake somewhere. I know where the mistake is. I'm not going to show you it. And if you can spot it, then great for you. But if you can't, better. I just have to fudge where her arm and the flowers meet and finish this. Because once it's finished, it'll be beautiful. I did start this on the kit fabric, but I really did not like the Ada that it came with, so I changed it out for this 32 count platinum linen, platinum Belfast by Zweigart, which is beautiful, and I do really enjoy working on that one, until I messed up. Yeah. Okay. That is not the WIP. Not WIP. Okay. Cassieopeia by Mirabilia. So, Cassieopeia by Mirabilia, and here's where it was when you last saw it. And I have started this in May of 2021, the same week roughly that I started Queen Mariposa, and I think they're both at about the same amount of progress, because here's where I am now. Yeah, it's a lot of block stitching for the most part, and honestly it probably is not a lot of progress since my WIP parade, because I usually work on this one in August. It reminds me of my sister, whose birthday is in August, and so that tends to be the focus, which I don't necessarily do. Like, I try to focus on that project, but it doesn't always happen. So, I don't think there's a WIP in here. No. See, I have a lot of things kitted up. And yeah, this one I saw very recently in in Natasha's video today. I was watching it, and she shared that she got this magazine for this project. And this is English Garden Welcome by Teresa Wentzler. And here's where it was on the last WIP parade. And honestly, it probably isn't that much farther along, because I don't know. It's one of those ones that when I pull it out and I can get some focus on it, I do get a lot done. But I'm going to move the needle minder. Here's where it's at now. So still working on the center and the center picture and the bottom border, swans. One swan is mostly done. But yeah, there's a lot of blends. It's very blend heavy. It's typical Teresa Wentzler. I try to backstitch as I go, but I'm almost thinking I will leave it to the end. I like seeing it finish as I go, But because all the back stitching, it's not a color chart, it's not digital, it's all black lines, and it says backstitch this in this color, backstitch the rose in this color, and so I think it might be easier if I backstitch it all at the end, except for, you know, the tedious border stitching. So we'll see. I mean, it's good to have a plan and know maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, because I remember when I started stitching, I was self-taught, and the pattern said save the back stitching for after all the X's are done, and I hated that part. Yeah. Oh, here's my other new start. See, I knew that way I would find it. Because otherwise, there's a lot of these very generic Amazon bags up on my shelf. And I didn't know which one. What color did I put it in? But this is Hoppington Hill by Just Nan. One of my children bought me this last year or the year before, like pretty recently, and I was, you know, itching for a new start, one that could be finished relatively soon, and I think I had just come off of that butterfly finish and thought, you know, I do enjoy Just Nan. And once this one is started, I can get the outline done and then cut this big piece of fabric, because there's a lot left of this and I could use it for something else, like a Nora Corbett. Because this is the other half of that Zephyr that Queen Mariposa is on. So yeah, I have a pretty good chunk left. And this is my start. I only worked on it for about a week. But yeah, I really just wanted to get the borders in and, you know, get some of this started so that you get in a rhythm when you pick it up, you know, where you left off. Yeah. And that is the only other new start that I have this year. Hoppington Hill and Frankie. Small one, medium one. Frankie is kind of big. Yeah, I don't know. 300 by 200 roughly. I think. That doesn't sound right. Sorry, now I gotta look. It's 10 by 12 inches. $160 by 200. 160 by 200. Okay. What else do we have in here? Yeah, see, this is something I want to work on. Big piece of fabric in here for this. So I have this beautiful piece of fabric with this beautiful pattern. In this beautiful bag I made, along with this beautiful pattern. In this beautiful piece of fabric. Oh, I do have a small piece in there. Ah, different counts. So, options for that in the V bag. But, yeah. I'm not doing no new starts or anything like that. It just happens to be, like, sometimes I want to start something, and sometimes I need to get some finishes done. This is my Fungi Sal by Living on the Rainbow. This is where it was when you, with the last WIP parade. And now the cover is fully, well, it's fully stitched, not fully completed. The cover is stitched. And this one I did work on fairly recently, and I got to this point and I'm like smacking myself, honestly, because I don't have the glow in the dark. I thought I did, but I got the wrong size. And so I'm at the point where if I had realized this, I would have went with one of the other options. But I did not, and so here we are. So, first one I finished. And then the second one, and the third one. And then I probably didn't stitch them in order also. I think I did. We got Stinkhorn, Fly, Amanita, Inky Cap, Morel, Devil's Fingers, and more recently the Pixie Parasol and the Ghost Fungus. So I have one more. I don't even know what it is. I have to look for it in my downloads or re-download it. But yeah, if I had realized, actually I think I'm just going to look for Rainbow Gallery alternatives for the glow in the dark, because I can't finish this without the glow in the dark. And so what I was telling Gail is, if you don't have the glow in the dark, because there's two, when the pattern came out as a sal, every couple weeks so many were released, and about halfway in there was 2 bonuses pages thrown in, and so you could choose 8 out of 10, but the extra ones that were put in was like a diagram and then the anatomy, like number 1, you know, like a legend for the diagram, which you need 2 pages for. 2 pages right there. I'm gonna look, because I dyed this, and so it's not something I can just easily replicate, because it was a scrap piece of fabric to start with, which happened to be the right size. But anyways, first world problems, right? So many other things going on in the world. Yeah, so, sorry, I have to zip it. I knew that was going to happen. I think that's it for this shelf. Honey of a Tiny Town. I might have to keep that one out. I have threads and fabric in here too. I'm going to keep it out because I know somebody wanted to work on that. So, potential sell, I need to know where my stuff is. I should put that back in that. Okay. Did not find the missing project. Bizarre. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video, put those back on the shelf, get the other whips down from there and there. And yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Need a drink because I ran all the way downstairs. Oh, gee. Okay. Found the missing project. It's over there. Right down there is a stack of projects that I was going to share in a WIP parade that I didn't do a couple weeks ago. Or not a WIP parade, a floss tube. So, man, I thought so that sound was the sound of a Xerox sheet against vinyl. Yeah. This is the project bag that I had the pirate chart in, which was over there for me to show you when I was supposed to do a video. Oh, way back, way back. So this is Adia, the garden fairy, and this is what she's going to look like when she's finished. And here's where it was at my last WIP parade. And for some reason, I think I might have two project bags for this, because I have a project bag here with this. And I had the project bag on the shelf. Yeah, no, this is totally different. That's something else. Okay. That explains that. Here's where it's at. So I do believe I have worked on it. And I believe that was in May, kind of as an anniversary to when they were started. I worked on some of these. And I've been working down, so this will be the more recent stitches. And this is called for DMC on 32 count Huntress Belfast linen. And all those empty spaces are going to be beads. All of that there, because I would stitch the Kreineck in at the same time. I don't have a problem with stitching the Kreineck in. It's the beads that snag on the needle and just a bit of a pain to work around in general, so I leave the beading to the end. which can be a little bit tedious. Beading is not my favorite thing, and if you've been around for a while, you would know that. I do have all the beads, and I'm just going to stick a chart where it's not going to touch the vinyl. Okay, so I also found something started a lot longer. Longer than my earliest record here, which is 2018. You know, I had grand plans for this, and now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it could be finished. What is there left to do? So this is from a needleworker magazine called The Needleworker from August of 2000, just 2000. And this is, there's so many great patterns in here. The original needleworker designed by Donna Yuen, or Yuen. Okay, there's a border. And here's what it's supposed to look like. So that is this image here from the magazine. And I remember working on this in the other house in my downtime, in the rabbit hole, my first rabbit hole. And I got this far. And I was going to turn it into some kind of a project book thing. But that's as far as I got with it. So yeah. Just a variety of threads that I had in my stash on a piece of fabric that was a scrap from something. And anyways, so that's you know, gone but not forgotten. This one is my Christmas, my other Christmas themed stitching. And experimenting with different ways of storing thread. But I think that I have come to learn that I do prefer bobbin card, and that's what I've been switching most of my projects over to. But like I said at the beginning, I am switching the Camberley Sampler over just because it's a single strand and lots of jumping around. Okay. Took me a while to find the picture. This is from the Treasures in Needlework premiere issue. And this is beautiful design by Sandy. Let me make sure before I... Yeah, Sandy Orton. And it's gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. Pageant Kings. It's such an odd combination of colors, but they work. And this is a very busy chart. It is black and white and some colored lines. yeah, between pink, blue, and grays. I mean, it's a color chart like that, pinks, blues, and grays. And so there are blends, there are blending filaments, there's all kinds of stuff, and I love it. Some people don't like all the blends and everything, but it's not really yeah, there's a couple of DMC blends, especially in the face. I don't think this is much farther than it was in my WIP Parade. But this is getting into the top corner of the frame. And Wise Man 1 is finished. Wise Man 2 is finished. That's the outline of a donkey. Yeah. You can barely see the background there, but there's buildings in the background there, which eventually I believe are going to be backstitched. Yeah, there's a lot to this pattern, and I am stitching it. It actually does call for 3 strands, I believe, and I am doing it 2/2 on 32 count. Do I have it on the tag? No, it's 32 count something by Permin of Copenhagen, if I remember right. But yeah, lots of metallics. And lots of DMC. Yeah, I didn't have that in there, but yeah. Okay. Now, trying to keep everything as together as I can. As my favorite tote bag says, just pretending to be organized. Yes, this is Simply Meant to Be, artwork by Cheryl Gerard. I think I butchered that. Probably really badly too. And this is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a story keep, which is like a miniature, not a mini, not a quick stitch, but smaller and harder to find on their website. If you search story keep, I think this is the only one that might come up. But this is Simply Meant to Be, which is basically A Nightmare Before Christmas, different artwork. And I am down here, and there is the dog's outline. And there's not much more to go, and then it'll be finished. I started this with Gail from Gail's Golden Needle, and yeah, I pull it out once in a while, and honestly, I work on some black, work on a color, work on some black, work in a color, and I've been able to, you know, that's a lot of black, but I'm almost done all the black. Chipping away at it. So when I feel like working on some full coverage in the evening, that's a good fix. Frankie will also work. Okay, 2 more. And honestly, this one, I don't even know why I'm even showing it, because I have not done anything, and I still love it, still want to do it. I think I made a mistake. This is Rose Quaker by, yeah, I'm going to put the name down here. And this is as far as it is, and as far as it was on the last video. So still a WIP, and I still like my color conversion. It was converted, it was in DMC, charted in DMC, but I am converting it to Victoria Sampler model threads. But I'm a little bit hesitant to continue going with Victoria model, except I have so much of it, and I'm only using one strand over 2 on 32 count messy. So yeah, I should just go for it and whip it out, you know. Okay, I think this is my last project, because everything else that's up there is you know, to be started. So this is Permin of Copenhagen Sampler 1823, I think. And that's what it's gonna look like when it's finished. My oldest son bought this for me, and I started it on his birthday in 2021. I'm just gonna guess because I can't easily spot it in my list. And here's where it was on the last WIP parade. And here's where it is now. And this one is a little bit awkward to show. But I'm working across the middle. The ship here is in the center, and I worked that way a little bit, but then I worked my way over to this edge. This is the edge of the design. Yeah. This is into the top page, so there'll be a lot more stitching, because this is a big one. Big one. And this is the kit fabric, which is Witchelt, and it is pretty stiff, and I did wash it, and I might wash it again. But when it's in, it's not nearly as rigid as it had been when I first started. So I will just fold it in a different manner to work out the starch sizing. And that's where that one's at. And that is all of my WIPs that I pulled off the shelf. I didn't do a checklist as I'm glancing at my WIP list, which this is how I organize. That's my WIP list and the years, and usually I, you know, what month is it? For example, May, right? That was my WIP list for May. Yeah, so far my stats, I don't have stats, but as far as finishes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 finishes. 3 of those were new starts. So I've had 5 new starts this year and finished 3 of those. So one of them is big and one of them is small. I should be able to whip that Hoppington Hill one out before next Easter. Did I just make a plan? If you've been around for a while, you know that I don't make plans because plans just tend to get broken. I am not good at doing that. The only thing that I've been stitching, you know, basing my stitching on is there are some things that have an anniversary, and I like to honor the anniversary. And then some things just, I am playing Monopoly, and so that does determine some of my stitching. It just, you know, if I'm supposed to be focusing on the sled stocking and Christmas rolls up, guess what? Pageant Kings is not going to be stitched on. Right? So there's all these different factors that come in. Monopoly makes me look at some things a little more than others. And yeah. Do I have any plans for finishes? Of course, I want to get Beautitudes finished, and if other finishes happen, they happen. Because that's how I am. I'm very much a sweetie. I stitch what I want when I want. I've tried WIP Go. I have rotation. I flip through it enough. My morning rotation, I flip through it enough to keep me stimulated on those 3. I see progress happening. Sometimes I don't see any, and I'm not motivated to work on it. But, you know, then you just go and do a big block of black, right? Just get the stitches done and out of the way. So, anyways, I'm just yammering now. There is one other thing that I wanted to share, and then I'm going to let you go so you can go find other wonderful WIP parades, WIP parties, mid-year bashes, floss tube, fantastico. I had a birthday recently, and I didn't do a birthday start, but I kind of consider Frankie my birthday start because it was 2 weeks before my birthday, and that's to me, he has that Alice in Wonderland type feel to him. Yeah. Anyways, but I did have a birthday, and my husband bought me some stash, so I thought I would share it. This is Joy, a Nashville exclusive by Shakespeare's Peddler. And Purple Butterfly by Shannon Christine. The Turrets by Long Dog Sampler. I think I've heard of this one. I think this is like a smaller version of a bigger castle one. And Samplers and Primitives, The Voice of the Garden. That's one big B. And I already have another big P in a project bag. I think I'm going to throw this one in there with it. And yeah. We'll see. Which bee will it be? That's very pretty. The hum of the bees is the voice of the garden. Okay, well, I think that I really do have to stop now, and yeah. Until next time, which I will try to be more frequent, but in the summer, we also like to, you know, go out and do things like kayaking and hiking, and we don't do so much camping, but there's so much around here just where I am that I don't have to go far. So, yeah, we're going to go probably discover some new bush road somewhere. Until next time, happy stitching.